Hey, long time no see, everybody. It will be a cold day on Mercury before I ever get this done, but thought I would make an attempt to do some Lostviews for the first and second seasons because, well, what the hey, what else am I going to do? But I'm not going to do one episode for each video because that would just take forever, and I don't really think I don't know if there is enough to say after all the speculation that's already been done. I don't know if anything that I say here is going to raise any eyebrows, but thought I'd give it a shot anyway. Got a few notes, just like that. So I just got done watching the first disc, and there were always things funny that I noticed on the disc, and most of that I don't know. I didn't catch as much as I was hoping I would, but maybe it's because I've given up on some theories that I had formed based on what I'd seen there before, or maybe I've seen things that have debunked those theories, so it doesn't hold as much water nowadays as it used to. But a few interesting quotes. Kate, I have several interesting quotes from her. Number one is, "If that had been me, I'd have run for the door." This is just after Jack tells her about his surgery on the 16-year-old girl, and he's talking about how scared he was, and she says, "If that had been me, I would have run for the door." Now, obviously, this is meant to be like foreshadowing of her run nature, her nature to run, and born to run and things like that. But it's also interesting that they're discussing a hypothetical situation in which she were Jack. Like, I don't know, with all this talk about previous lives and everything, it makes me wonder if some of these people haven't lived each other's lives, and maybe somehow that's forming an aspect of their character that we don't really understand how that works or anything. I don't know if there's any truth to that. Number two is, "I made the drapes in my apartment." That seems like a weird quote because I don't see how she could have had an apartment. She's basically, I assume she took all of her money to go to Australia, and she wouldn't be paying rent on an apartment if she weren't living in it. She was living on a farm with this guy, and trying to make money. And then she just got taken in by the marshal, and she was on the plane directly after that and coming back to the U.S. She didn't have an apartment at that point. So unless she was talking about an apartment she used to have and just kind of reminiscing, maybe it was something like that. Because you still refer to your past homes as my house, maybe. I don't know if you're sentimental like that. "Saw smoke through the valley." This would have been before she could have possibly known that there was a valley on the island. "Did you see it?" After they get attacked, Jack and Kate and Charlie in the jungle, after they get attacked by the smoke monster while they're visiting the cockpit, and they get separated, when she reunites with Charlie and Jack, the first thing she asks both of them is, "Did you see it?" She doesn't ask, like, "Are you okay?" or "What happened?" or anything like that. It's like, "Did you see it?" It seems kind of weird that she would ask that because, I don't know, it's almost like she was trying to make sure they didn't see it. Maybe she knows something. I don't know. The other reason I want to say that she knows something is because, like, later when Sawyer is running away and Saeed says, "No, what is knocking down the trees will get you." And Kate steps in and says, don't go, you'll never make it. And she says, "Trust me." And they get this camera shot of her face right when she says it. She's like, "Trust me." It's like, why should he trust you? You couldn't possibly know any more than anybody else. So. But she says, "Trust me," with this confidence like she does know something. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't, and I'm just kind of talking out my ass here. Wouldn't be the first time. So other quotes from other characters. Saeed once says, "Could be a sat phone," which the only reason I find that quote interesting is because all this time I thought he said, "Could be a cell phone," but I had it on with the captions today, shut up. And he says, "Could be a sat phone." And then Naomi shows up on the island at the end of season 3 with what else but a sat phone. And I was under the impression a sat phone was some snazzy invention that hadn't been invented when they first crashed on the island. So maybe he was like telling the future by saying it could be a sat phone, like maybe sat phones hadn't been invented yet, but maybe they had. I don't know if they had or not. Locke says, "Patience, the hallmark of a good leader." Interesting that Locke would be talking about leadership, because, like, number one, right on, and number two, what would he know? I don't know which one to say, because Locke is such a loose cannon these days, I have no idea. Jin says, in Korean, "Don't worry about the others." You don't know the half of it, man, let me tell you. Charlie, when, after the smoke monster attacks him, and he's describing what happened to Kate, he says, "We were dead." And with all the times that Charlie's died in this show, I'm just like, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in season 4, I tell you. But, something else kind of unusual is that and this, I don't know if this is really unusual or not, but the number 104 popped up 2 times in the first 4 episodes. Jack says the Marshall's fever is pushing 104, and Hurley says that his buddy in the Air Force was in the 104th Airborne or something. So, I don't know, that's kind of weird that that number would appear twice. With that number being 4 less than 108, I don't know. Did Cindy give Jack the alcohol on purpose? Could it be? I have no idea. Because they drugged Juliet to take her to the island. I wonder if she wasn't attempting to drug Jack in a similar manner. I don't think that's what it was, because it was real alcohol, pretty much, but I don't know, it seems just weird. The trees at the very beginning, when Jack first opens his eyes in the first episode, the first thing you see is his eye opening, and then they show his point of view. There's all the trees pointing toward the middle of the screen. It looks like the stars on the screen when Han Solo goes into hyperspace, which is like light speed, which theoretically, as you approach light speed, time slows down. It's more of a visual clue than anything. Probably nothing to it. Probably not intentional even, but oh well. We'll read anything into it, whether it's intentional or not. Us Lost fans, I tell you. So then Sawyer shoots the bear, the polar bear, and can't help but wonder if there wasn't something special about that bear. But then, of course, that's so easy to say that. The thing is, it seems like every time someone shoots a gun on this show, someone else hears it from far away, like if they're outside. And I know Ethan was on his way, so is it possible that maybe this polar bear was special to the others, that they had no idea it would attack someone, that they thought it was a tame bear, and then when they saw that the Lostaways killed it, they just assumed that the Lostaways were like these cold-blooded killers, and so that was like their first impression, and they just went with it? I don't know. Not likely, but I don't know. Maybe. Big maybe. Rousseau's distress call. Man, we could go on about this one all day, but I had this weird theory that maybe, and I'm sure 100 other people have thought of this, that Rousseau's distress call was actually a reference to the Purge when Ben killed all the Dharma people. And she says they are dead, it killed them all. The it that killed them all was the gas that Ben left in the village. Maybe she didn't get up in time to see who left the gas, so she just said the gas killed them all because she didn't know who it was. Of course, that wouldn't explain anything about the Black Rock or Alex or any of that, but it could explain possibly if she was part of Dharma, that maybe the people who came in on the Black Rock were part of Dharma or something. I don't know. It's possible. But, again, highly unlikely because she had a totally different story than what that theory would suggest. So, and then there's a lot of talk about, at the end of the 3rd episode, Tabula Rasa, however you say that, after Locke brings Vincent back to Walt, and they do that scary shot of his face, the camera goes around like this, and it comes up close to his face, and then the music turns all scary. And they've talked about that in the podcast. Why does the music turn scary there? What is so sinister about returning a dog back to his rightful owner? I got no idea. Well, the only thing that could possibly be, if you ask me, is that he changed the future there. And, looking back from season 3, it's easy to kind of theorize about that maybe Vincent was never supposed to be returned to Walt and Michael, because maybe he had some kind of memory, because Vincent, dogs, they know a lot more than we give them credit for, and he could have had some memory about Walt or Michael that nobody on this show even knows yet, that we don't even know. And that memory might have been important for the Smoke Monster to download so that they would know something, and it would entirely change everything about what the others think about them, and they might not have let Michael and Walt go, or they tried to come and take Walt, maybe because they couldn't get Vincent, so they took Walt instead. Because Locke messed it up for him, so they had to take Walt instead. I don't know, that's kind of stupid though, but I find it kind of interesting that Locke would be talking to Walt about the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, saying that they excavated the ruins and made dice out of the bones. He's talking about excavations and bones, and 3 seasons later he falls into an excavated hole that's filled with bones. Is anyone else sensing a delicious irony here? I'm telling you. I don't have much else except for the whole age thing. It seems weird that we don't know a lot of these characters' ages. And most of the ones that died in Season 1, like Boone and Shannon, or the ones that left at the end of Season 1, in a manner of speaking, like Walt, we knew their ages. We knew that Walt was 10. We knew that Shannon was 20, because she said so outright. And we knew that Boone was 2 years older than she was. But I don't think it's been specified, really, exactly what these other characters' ages are. We've assumed that Sawyer's like 37 or something. Anyway, I'm running out of time. So, there you go. See you at Disc 2.